Hello family and welcome back. In today's tutorial I'll be sharing with you how to easily cut and sew an overbust corset with basque waistline. Kindly don't forget to subscribe if it's your first time here. Also like and leave a comment down below. Let's get started. So guys, I have already drawn all horizontal lines needed from shoulder line to hip line and I've labeled them. Also, I've gone ahead to draw the yoke part even though it's an off shoulder. I want to now mark body measurement on the lines. I mark quarter of bust circumference earlier on chest line and I'll do the same on waistline. Have waist circumference divided by 4 and the answer I get is what I'll mark on the waistline. In addition to that, I'm adding 1 inch dart allowance. Again on hip line, I'm marking quarter of hip circumference on it. And with that guys, I'll draw the outline by joining mark on chest line, waistline and hip line with straight lines. Since it's an off shoulder, I'll now measure 1.5 inches up from chest line, then use a ruler to square out a line across like I'm doing. Having done that, I'll mark half bust span from center front on waistline. I'll also mark it on hip line and lastly on the new drawn line at the top. We'll then join these marks with a straight vertical line with a ruler. Next is taking quarter of my underbust measurement on underbust line and the allowance I have left, which is 1.5 inches after measuring, is what I'll use for the dart. I'm marking 0.5 inches towards the center and then 1 inch on the opposite side. Again, I'm measuring 2 inches up from hip line. So now I'll draw lower dart using the 3 marks. After that, I'll confirm if that measurement on waistline is exactly 1 inch added earlier. From there guys, I'll draw some tiny curve on each side using a French curve ruler from underbust line to bust line. Once I'm through with that, now I'll measure 0.25 inches towards the center front and 0.75 inches on the opposite side. Then I'll draw 2 other curves from bust line to each mark. Now let's proceed to the next thing, which is drawing sweetheart neckline. I want a deep one, so I'll draw a curve to bust line. In case you don't want your chest part showing a lot, you can draw it to chest line. Then on the other side, I'll just join it to the armhole. From there, I want to measure front full length. I'll measure from shoulder line to 22 inches. Mark, then square out a horizontal line across. I'm now marking 0.75 inches on the drawn line. Again 2.5 inches on the side outline from waistline. I hope you guys understand what I mean. We'll then draw the basque waistline using a French curve ruler. Next thing is waist snatching, which I'll do on center front and on the side. I'm going to measure 0.25 inches on waistline and then we'll use it to draw center dart. For side dart, you need to slant your ruler like I've done in order to draw a line. So it's on the same line where I'll measure 0.25 inches again on each side. That's what I'll use to draw the side dart. I'm not yet done with the side dart. I'm going to measure 0.25 and 0.5 inches on each side respectively at the top edge. Then we'll draw curves like I did earlier using a French curve ruler. So guys, I'm shading all the areas that need to be cut out completely, but first I'll cut along the outline. The reason as to why I cut along outline first is to draft back part using the front pattern. I'm going to secure them with pins before I can start drafting. To draft the back part, I need chest line and waistline. That's why you see me put marks on each side of the lines. Having finished that, we'll trace out front side outline on the paper too. And that's all I'll use to finish up the back pattern. We'll remove all the pins, and thereafter I'm going to draw the chest line, waistline and the full length line. After that, I'm going to slant the top edge with 0.5 inches. You can decide to use it as it is. I'm now going to measure 1.5 inches at the top and the bottom edges, and then square outlines across. Now I'll measure half bust span on waistline, line at the top and also on the line at the bottom. With that, I'll draw a vertical line from top to bottom. We'll then measure 0.5 inches on each side of the line, that's on waistline. So now I'll draw that like I'm doing. We also have side dart here at the back. That's why I'll measure first midpoint of the space left, then draw a straight vertical line, not slanted this time. And then on each side of the line, I'll measure 0.5 inches since it's only one side dart, unlike on front part where we had side and center dart, which was 0.5 inches each. In total, that's one. I'll be using lacing loops instead of zipper, so from center back I'm measuring 1.5 inches, then a vertical line along it. I'll now cut a long outline and label each segment as 1, 2, 3 in order to know which one falls where. We'll then continue cutting out darts. Once I'm done cutting back darts, I want to now cut front darts, but we'll first label as 1, 2, 3. Guys, I've gone ahead and traced out every pattern on fabrics and linings to leaving 0.5 inches on each side. I'll now remove all pins in order to start stitching. I'll just put back pieces aside, then work on the front pieces. I'll be removing linings and pattern papers, leaving only the fabric pieces. And as I do that, I'll also be arranging them how they are supposed to be stitched. And then guys, with this arrangement, I'll stitch center pieces first from the bottom edge, and then the side pieces in that order. After I'm done with the front pieces, I'll do the same also on the back pieces. Here is front part after stitching all pieces back. I did the same on linings and on back parts. From here, I'll head over to the sewing machine and stitch back pieces on front sides with about 0.5 inches, as well as on lining. I'm done stitching back pieces to front piece. Here is what I have. I'm now going to cut boning cases where I'll be passing in boning tapes, and then we'll top stitch each one of them. Here's what I have after top stitching all the cases. As you can see, I'll cut out boning tapes for each case, leaving about 0.5 inches at the top and at the bottom as stitching allowance. After inserting all the boning tapes, I also ironed it flat. So now I'm going to attach lining to the fabric with about 0.5 inches, both at the top and the bottom, leaving sides open. Here we go guys, I'm done stitching at the top and at the bottom edge. Now I'm going to notch the curved edges, then I'll turn it to the right side. It's turned to the right side. I'll now cut lacing loops, which I'll be inserting in between the fabric and the lining at the side edges, and I'll be using 1.5 inches apart, and then we'll stop stitch. This is what we have after stitching loops. I'll then use this long piece to lace. Take note of how I do that. Kindly don't forget to subscribe, also like and leave a comment down below. I'll meet you guys in our next tutorial.